The Invincible Soul. Why true dignity comes from within. The idea that the soul that is within me no man can degrade speaks to the profound resilience of the human spirit. It suggests that dignity, self-worth, and moral integrity are not determined by external forces but are rooted deep within each person. While the world may inflict harm, humiliation, or injustice, no one can truly degrade a person's soul without their consent. This concept has been echoed throughout history, philosophy, and literature, serving as a powerful reminder that inner strength and self-respect are invincible in the face of adversity. At its core, this notion speaks to the inherent dignity of the individual, a dignity that cannot be diminished by oppression, cruelty, or external judgment. While people may suffer at the hands of others, whether through slavery, discrimination, abuse, or injustice, their true worth is not determined by their circumstances. Instead, it is determined by their inner moral compass and their understanding of their own intrinsic value. One of the most powerful historical examples of this idea comes from the life of Frederick Douglass, the 19th-century abolitionist, author, and former slave. Born into slavery, Douglass endured unimaginable cruelty and dehumanization. Yet, despite the horrors of his condition, he understood that his soul, his true self, remained untouchable. As he famously wrote, "The soul that is within me no man can degrade." Douglass recognized that while others could control his body, they could not control his spirit, his intellect, or his sense of self-worth. This realization fueled his escape from slavery and his lifelong fight for freedom and equality. Douglass's story is a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Despite being treated as property, despite the physical and psychological abuse designed to strip him of his humanity, he maintained a sense of dignity that could not be extinguished. His journey from slavery to becoming one of the most prominent voices for abolition and human rights in the 19th century is a powerful reminder that true degradation comes not from external forces but from the surrender of one's inner belief in their own worth. In a broader historical context, the struggle for dignity has been a constant theme in the fight against oppression. Whether in the civil rights movement in the United States, the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, or the women's suffrage movement, individuals and groups who have faced systemic injustice have often drawn strength from the belief that their inherent worth could not be diminished by the actions or beliefs of others. The concept that one's soul cannot be degraded by external forces has deep philosophical roots. The Stoics, a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece, taught that while we cannot control external events, we can control our internal responses to them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, himself a former slave, believed that true freedom comes from within, and that no one can harm our soul unless we allow him to. Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them, Epictetus famously said. This idea, that our interpretation of events shapes our experience, aligns with the belief that external degradation is powerless against a strong and virtuous soul. Similarly, Immanuel Kant, one of the central figures in modern Western philosophy, argued that human dignity is rooted in our capacity for rational thought and moral decision-making. According to Kant, every individual possesses an inherent worth that cannot be diminished or increased by external factors. In his work Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals, Kant introduced the idea of the categorical imperative, which holds that every person must be treated as an end in themselves, not as a means to an end. This principle reinforces the idea that no one can degrade another person's fundamental dignity. In contemporary times, the idea that the soul that is within me no man can degrade continues to resonate in various contexts. From individuals overcoming personal struggles to communities resisting systemic injustice, the belief in the inviolability of the human spirit provides strength and hope. Consider the story of Malala Yousafzai, the Pakistani activist for girls' education. At the age of 15, Malala was shot in the head by the Taliban for advocating for the right of girls to attend school. While her attackers sought to silence her and degrade her spirit, they failed. Malala's courage and conviction remained intact, and she emerged from the ordeal even more determined to fight for the rights of girls around the world. In her memoir, I Am Malala, she writes, "They thought that the bullets would silence us, but they failed. And then, out of that silence came thousands of voices." Malala's story is a powerful example of how, even in the face of extreme violence and intimidation, the soul's integrity can remain unbroken. Similarly, Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote about the resilience of the human spirit in his book Man's Search for Meaning. While imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps, Frankl witnessed unimaginable cruelty and degradation. Yet, he discovered that even in the most dehumanizing conditions, individuals could find meaning and purpose in their suffering. Frankl concluded that while people may have little control over their circumstances, they always retain the power to choose their attitude. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, Frankl wrote. His insights align closely with the idea that no external force can degrade a person's soul unless they allow it to. At the heart of this discussion is the belief that moral integrity is the foundation of true dignity. Regardless of what the world may throw at us, whether it be injustice, cruelty, or hardship, our sense of self-worth and dignity is rooted in our moral character and our inner strength. Our inner fortitude cannot be stripped away by external forces unless we surrender it. The power of this belief lies in its ability to foster resilience in the face of adversity. By recognizing that our true value is not determined by others but by ourselves, we can navigate even the most challenging situations with grace and courage. This is not to suggest that external forces are insignificant. Oppression, injustice, and violence can cause real and lasting harm, but it is to say that even in the face of these forces, the soul's dignity remains intact. The soul that is within each of us is invincible in the face of external degradation. History, philosophy, and personal narratives all show that while the world may attempt to dehumanize, oppress, or humiliate individuals, the human spirit possesses a dignity that cannot be stripped away. This resilience is not a denial of the pain or suffering that external forces may cause, but a recognition that true degradation comes only when we allow our inner strength, moral integrity, and sense of self-worth to be compromised. By embracing this truth, we can find strength in even the most difficult circumstances. As Frederick Douglass, Viktor Frankl, Malala Yousafzai, and countless others have shown, no matter the cruelty or injustice inflicted upon us, our soul remains ours, and no one can degrade it unless we let them. The world may try to degrade us if we allow it. Hence, we should never forget who we are.